creating a rocket engine in TrueSpace. Alright, in this tutorial we're going to work on a specific tool called the lathe tool. Okay, it's right down here at the lower corner. It's called the Add Curve tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on that and we're going to draw what looks kind of like a fat tube. Okay, if you notice it kind of hooking it up like that, and then I kind of go back, and I'm going to just go back along to kind of create a little bit of a tube. It's always best to work from the top view with this. Now, in order to make this work, I have to select this to make this an active face. And I do that, first I click the white arrow, then I go to this green face tool, and I select just the top face. Okay, and that makes everything light up with green dots. Alright, my next assignment is I'm going to lathe this around this x-axis. So I go to where the sweep tool is, right next to the camera. I click and I drag up to the lathe. It kind of looks like a figure 8. And it creates this little thing down here that goes only 270 degrees. If you right click on the lathe tool, it says 270 degrees. You want this to lathe all the way around, so we're going to go 360. And the other problem with it, as you notice, is it also is coming on the wrong side. I want it to be in the center of the curve. So I'm going to rotate this around so that it's lathing around there. Now when I think I've got everything set up the way I want it, I just hit the lathe tool, and that creates sort of a barrel-like object. Now all you have to do is click the white arrow, and that turns it into an object. Now, another thing that rockets frequently have is they have this kind of like cone kind of shape in the center of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the tone tool and create a tone. I click like this, and I go up. And I'm going to actually create 2 of these, but before I do that, what I want to do is I want to get things where I want them to be. So I'm going to go back to my my barrel here, and you know, I'm going to click on the white arrow, select the barrel, and I'm going to go with the white arrow, and I'm going to set it up straight. I'm going to take the z-axis and make that 0, and I'm going to take the x-axis and make that 0 as well. All right, so now it's setting up straight. The other thing I want to do is I want to put it in the exact center. So if you see where it says location X, I'm going to make that 0. Location Y, I'm going to make that 0. And I'm going to do the same thing with my cone. Put it to 0. Put it at the 0. Now all I have to do is show the object move tool and move that cone up so I have a little point sticking out. Alright, which is the way I want this to look. Alright, then I'm going to just glue the 2 things together. I'm going to glue, and if you take a look, if I render this now, I have what looks sort of like a rocket. Now, the first thing I want to do is I also want to delete the spare guy that I created. Now I want to look at some textures, and I'm thinking that this is a beat-up old rocket ship. So I'm going to click over here where it says Texture. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to load a metal texture. Now there's several different metal textures, and of course I never remember which one I want. So I'm going to try the first one, metals. And those are shiny metals. Well, I want this to be a beat-up rocket ship, so I'm not going to use those. So I'm going to load metals 2 and see if that gives me what I want. And if you notice, there's all sorts of different types of metals here. And the second one from the top says rusted metal. And I'm going to paint my rocket ship with a rusted metal texture. So when you look at it, now it kind of looks like something that's been beat up, exposed to the elements on a rocket pad or something like that. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the single view so you guys can see it a little bit better. And that's what it looks like. Okay, and that's how you create a thruster for your spaceship.